Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Jose Cruz. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio. We're talking to Peter Waite, longtime literacy advocate, and going all the way back to Laubach Literacy Action 1982, and probably before. Right at the break, Peter and I were talking about something that we did at California Literacy. And this was back in 2003, 2004, and it was called Cities That Read. Peter, and we had posters in the malls of California. We had signed up 140 cities, 140 mayors. There are about 480 cities in California. And when things fell apart at California Literacy back in 2005, 2006, this program was still growing. So here were mayors, and we really made it easy for them to endorse the campaign. But we did ask for a liaison. We did ask them for an endorsement of our work, and they signed on to it. And we actually had the mayor of Pasadena chairing what we call the California Literacy Mayors Literacy Network. How about that? And so to answer your question, sure. Peter, we at the San Diego Council on Literacy, we're bringing that back. I mean, there's only 18 cities. And we had a version of this a few years back where we got all 18 mayors to sign on to what we were calling Regions That Read. But we're going to bring it back as Cities That Read. We're going to create PowerPoint presentations that reflect the demographics of each city, and we're going to provide each mayor with a presentation that helps them do what we do on a countywide basis, which is to talk about what is the state of literacy in our community, instilling the importance of literacy and getting people in the community to respond, to address, what's taking place in their particular community. We like the approach and believe that it's something we can be doing that will work. And so going back to the whole old adage of, working locally, we think that can happen. But it's very doable.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah. And Jose, I think that is an exceptionally important model, sort of thinking ahead here in terms of where can we take this, recognizing we you and I haven't solved the problem quite yet, as much as we had hoped we might. Yeah. But looking at where are these access points where we can begin to go to scale? How can we develop things that have a compelling appeal to political units, social units, other issues that would really begin to be able to go to scale. And I think that cities that read, communities that read, counties that read, whatever those are, things that people can begin to do and look at this as an issue, will do two things. One, it will help to energize the awareness factor that we need to get back, which we clearly lost. And the second thing is it will give us access, to others and others who can help us in terms of thinking through what are some of the more sophisticated political issues that we need to align ourselves with, social issues, as well as what are some of the key elements that we need to interface with so that we are a viable social issue, and one that when funding is available or funding is discussed, that we're at the table. And because for so long we have not been at that table. Right. And at least, at the very least, having that, when you look around the country in places that have been successful, that's where they have made an inroad, where they are at a table relative to funding, to resources, and to general support. And cities that read, counties that read, communities that read would be incredibly effective and powerful in doing so.
And we have to bring that back. And it's not just that, Peter. We have to sustain it. And I like Neil Young's, I think it's Neil Young's song, Rust Never Sleeps. Rust never sleeps. Or as Bob Marley said, well, I can't stop working because the bad guys never stop working. And right, so we always have to be on, because otherwise, we start losing our footing. And we're still at a point, and you mentioned the awareness, but we're still at a point where we're communicating to people that there's a problem. And I'm going to tell you a story real quickly. Signing on the last city for Cities that Read in San Diego a few years back, one mayor didn't want to do it. And he said to me, I have award-winning teachers, we have award-winning schools, and we don't need this. And I wrote back to him, and I said, because we represent a network of 30 youth, adult, and family literacy programs, and I had to tell them, we're already serving your city, man.
Wow.
We're already
serving, well,
right? And so it's happening all around you, and you don't even know it. And that was part of raising the awareness there. He reluctantly signed on. In fact, you ought to see the signature. I've saved the paper, and it's pretty much a rip. But because the people around him were saying, please, Mr. Cruz, please don't give up. We don't want to be that city. and so they did a bunch.
Oh, boy.
But it's one of those things that I'm bringing it up for a reason. It's one of those things, too, that it's like, well, everybody in our company can read. We're not having a problem. It's just hard for people to face, and I'm sure that's been your experience, Peter, where you have to tell people, and it's like, this is America. We don't have that problem.
That's right. Oh, absolutely. So absolutely true, Jose. And it really is. I mean, for years, that you'd start trying to explain to someone, well, it's about adult literacy, and they go, well, what? There's no problem here. Everybody can read. I mean, I've never known anybody.
Never met anybody. Yeah.
Well, no, of course not. Right. And of course they probably had, but they simply just didn't realize it. Mm-hmm. And this is the other side to your point, where this is America's most solvable problem. It's also America's most hidden problem. Mm-hmm. And that's really one of the real challenges that we have, is the fact that it's not something that you specifically know and look and experience in your day-to-day kinds of lives. So you can see poverty, you can see homelessness, you can see disease, as we're seeing now. Yeah. But when it comes to adult literacy, you don't actually see it. What the problem is that you have to learn about it, and then when the statistics begin to be put in front of you, and you say, "Oh, what? Are you kidding me? That 23% of folks in San Diego County are at the lowest literacy level? Yeah, that's a quarter of the population. Right. But you've got to explain that. It is tough. You can't point to someone or point, yes, see, that person over there, and that person, that person, that person. You simply don't know. Right. What that is. Yeah, and so that again, that's part of raising awareness. But a lot of good things happen, Peter. And I do want to come back to your story. We're going to need another hour, but a lot of good things happen. We were riding high during the Bush administration with the formation of the National Institute for Literacy. I want to say there was the National Literacy Act of 1991. Do I have that right? It was about that time, right? National Institute for Literacy. Uh-huh. Sure, Bill Clinton.
Right. And you were in the middle of all that. What was happening? Because I know you were there. What was happening in Washington? What was happening with people you were talking to? Who did you get to talk to?
Yeah, well, in the days, that sort of heyday period, as you're talking about, which was really, sort of the late 80s through the early 90s, long ago, the real key was that with people like Barbara Bush, she began to generate this sort of snowball effect. And, so in circumstances like that, you had her, you had Senator Paul Simon, who was just an aggressive promoter. You had Terrell Bell, Secretary of Education, who stayed on and been there in the beginning and then came through. You had people, Harold McGraw of McGraw-Hill, who was a tireless business advocate. And they would draw in their own friends and their own cohorts to be able to help fund and promote both activities. And I was asked on numerous occasions to testify before Congress to meet. We met on several occasions with representatives at the White House and the president in the case of Bush and Clinton. And that kind was very heady, but we didn't sink enough roots to be able to have it continue on the level that we thought it would. And that was, I think, the real lesson that you talk about. The other thing that we didn't do that I think we really need to look at, and we need to look to the future, is we need to tie adult literacy to all of the other social issues and to explain that if the other issues that we're talking about, be they poverty, be it racism, be it health, be it homelessness. Without a literate population, then you are going to have only a very partially successful initiative in any one of those, because issues around health are going to require full literacy. Issues around race are going to require full literacy and better education. Issues around homelessness are about education and those other issues. And I've suggested to a couple of folks that we need a literacy impact statement on every single national piece of legislation to determine, can this be successful with the level of literacy that we're going to have in the population right now? And if not, we need a literacy component associated with it.
Peter, so I mean, there's things that we've done, things that we've done and moved on from, and things that we need to return to that worked. And the learner stories is another part of this. Just testimonials where you've accompanied learners to address Congress and such, and the things that happened in Sacramento here in California that help to drive home the point and help people feel what this cause is about. So there's the data aspect of it, and then there's the people part of it, the stories and such. So we're going to come back to Peter Waite for our last segment. We've been listening to Peter Waite and Jose Cruz and the Literacy for All radio show on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk. We'll be right back.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Donate cash, furniture, clothes, and other gently used household items to Father Joe's Villages and get a nice tax break in April. Every donation is tax deductible. Believe you can make a difference. Be Father Joe. Go to neighborhood.org or call 1-800-HOMELESS to donate today.
Life is full of misadventures, from car crashes to home fires to getting choked out on the mat. Yes, I said getting choked out because I'm Carlos Kramer, jiu-jitsu competitor, MMA and media personality, and mild-mannered insurance agent. You can follow my adventures on Kick-Ass Radio, and I can protect you from life's misadventures at Kramer Insurance. Home, auto, life, business, and workers' comp. We're at KramerINS.com, and I want you to join my world.
This is Bill Gruber with BizVid Communications, a Southern California video production leader. We've been honored to sponsor, produce, write, and host many of the fine programs on WS Radio over the years. So we understand how important the internet and your website exposure are. As video producers, we know the tricks and secrets to incorporate video to increase your search engine optimization and business success. Visit bizvidcommunications.com to see what we can do for you. BIZVID communications.com.
Too much to do? Not enough time to get it done? Call on the experts at Another 8 Hours for your business support needs. By partnering with Another 8 Hours, we allow you to focus on the more important matters, like being in front of your clients, doing what you do best, rather than being stuck at a desk poring over paperwork, rummaging through emails, returning phone calls, and struggling to get everything done by yourself. Meanwhile, your family and social life are going down the drain. Go to another8hours.com or call 8 more hours. That's 866-734-6877.
Hi, this is Rob Barnett, VinVillage.com, where wine lovers connect. Be sure to tune in weekly to Vin Village Radio for exclusive, in-depth interviews with the who's who in wine and food.
Can you imagine a world without children? A world where children don't play, or dream, or imagine?
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're working every day to find cures for diseases that strike down children. Because we can't imagine a world without children. Can you?
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. To learn how you can help, log on to our website, stjude.org.
Talk to me. WSRadio.com.
The San Diego Council on Literacy brings you Literacy for All with your host, Jose Cruz.
Welcome back to the show. I'm Jose Cruz. You're listening to the Literacy for All radio show here on WS Radio, and our guest is Peter Waite, who has a long career in adult literacy advocacy and still doing the work. Peter, like I said, it's I'm trying to imagine being involved in this this cause and you're not being a part of it. So, like I say, it just kind of stays with you. You're not going anywhere. We're not going to let that happen. But anyway, thank you for joining us again. This is our fourth segment with you. And I did promise to tell more, have you tell more about your story. Back in 1969, I was just taking notes when we were talking, going back to the first segment. And there was a lot happening back then in '69. That was the year of Woodstock. That was the year, I believe, that the Mets won the World Series and the Jets won the Super Bowl. And the bridge was built in California. A lot of things were happening, and that was kind of a launching ground for you too. And then we get into years later, your work with Laubach Literacy Action, and all the way up to today with ProLiteracy. Golly, we're talking about 38 years later, your career with Washington Literacy. Here's what I wanted to say. I don't know if we ever had this conversation, but years later, Peter, I was actually summoned to Seattle, and I didn't know that this was part of the agenda, but they wanted me to be the coordinator, the director of Washington Literacy back then. That was Brenda Gray who was running it. And she was ready to move on.
Sure.
Yes, I don't know if I ever told you that, but they told me, Jose, you're from California. You get up into that Seattle weather, you're gonna get depressed. But you're a great outdoors person too. So I just wanted to share that with you and everyone else.
That's great. You did not share that with me yet, Jose. So that's really interesting, and I wish they could have convinced you to come on up, because in both our cases, unfortunately, funding ended for both of those programs.
Yeah.
But I think you would have been a real asset helping to be able to keep Washington Literacy around. But indeed, it does rain a reasonable amount, and San Diego certainly has it on weather over Seattle.
Yeah. So I'm here, and it's a beautiful day, by the way. You being an outdoors person, I doubt that the rain and the just constant drizzle of Seattle would have stopped you from doing what you do in the outdoors, being a climber, and also you're a marathoner. You've run marathons.
Yeah.
And how many of those have you done?
I have always done that thing. Well, I've only done 2. I've done quite a few other smaller races, but 2. But I was probably most proud to run in the LA Marathon for California Literacy many years ago.
Wow.
And I still have my jersey hanging in my office here as a fundraiser for California Literacy, and running and a lot of the outdoor activities that I've engaged in over the years are a nice balance to sometimes what, for all of us can sometimes be a heavy, challenging, and sometimes a little discouraging work that we do. But, to your point, probably one of the most energizing things about this field is what you just mentioned at the beginning of this segment, and that is, interacting with adult literacy students.
Yeah.
And, both having them come forward and testify or tell their stories or do videos about them, those stories are just so enormously emotional often, and, they give you a real sense of accomplishment that you're doing something right when you hear the stories, but they're really the ones who have been courageous in terms of coming out first, and then the kinds of obstacles they have to go through to go ahead and do what they want to do, advancing their literacy levels.
Yeah, and it's just such a rough thing, and we know that having seen these testimonials, it's a rough life. It's the filter by which they live, and just having to anticipate situations where they might have to read and it's a powerful thing. And every learner has a story. Every learner has a story, and you can ask them about right? What was school like? What made you ask for help? How has your life changed? And you hear great things. It's a great thing. So we do need more of those, Peter. I just want to talk to you, just going back in my history, back being like one of the new guys in the 80s and such, and going to a conference out in Little Rock, Arkansas. I think it was a Laubach conference, and I did. I want to say my first presentation there. First workshop, and it was a big deal to me. And I just remember not meeting you, but seeing you for the first time. And then somebody said, I said, Peter, that's Peter Waite. Wow. You know, I want to be on the Peter Waite level of literacy one day. You know, and I had people that I want. You know, it's like I want to be there. I want to be there one day. And so I just want to let you know that you were an inspiration, man. Yeah. You know, you were inspiration back in the early days. So
well, I appreciate that, Jose. But you did it. I mean, you jumped right to that level and went right past with the work that you've done that is of remarkable national significance and continues to be in terms of both what the San Diego Literacy Council is doing, you know, and has been doing for years. But again, the leadership that you've taken nationwide, you know, not only with the practical recommendations for products, for initiatives, for programs, for awareness, and then shows like this that do so much to be able to raise that awareness, which is really the critical piece that we need right now.
It really is. We're still on, and thank you, Peter. We need to have you on the show every time. I really appreciate it. But it's true. I mean, we have a message. We have a cause. This is very important. It affects. It doesn't just affect. If it does affect everything, and it does, then it affects everybody. And I think that's the other part of this communication. Yes. So, anyway, we have about 2.5 minutes in this last segment, and just some famous last words from Peter Waite. And you know, we're going to make sure people get the copy of this recording. We'll get this podcast out, to get the link out so people can hear really your perspective and a little bit about your history, but things you want to say before we sign off.
Oh, boy. Well, Jose, first of all, let me just thank you for your work and what you've been doing, what you've done in the past, and what you continue to do. It's just so terribly important. And I just think that, again, I hope that we've touched on the critical needs that we have for help in bringing this most solvable problem, America's most solvable problem, to the attention of the American people, you know, at the community, the county, the local level, and to garnering the kind of human resources, financial resources that we can work together to be able to build the kind of literate America that we frankly need and deserve.
Everybody should be reading, and we believe that, and that's our vision at the San Diego Council on Literacy for All, and we're serious about it. We do believe in it, and we know that you do. You've lived your life, your career, in support of this cause, and you know, it is a life-changing thing for people, and you know, and it's not a level playing field, and we're doing what we can to generate equal distribution of resources and support for folks, and just you know, really appreciate you again for what you've done over the last almost 4 decades, 35, 40 years. So anyway, Peter is he's at ProLiteracy right now, if you ever want to get in touch with him. And we're just glad to have had you on the show, Peter. We've had a number of legends on, as I said earlier.
Sure have.
And just so glad to have Ruth Colvin around to tell her story. I mean, she's a real historian. And what is she?
Yeah, over 100.
103 years old now, I think. And
yeah, that's right. That's right.
You know, so
coming up.
You know, so there's a lot of history, a lot of heart, a lot of people who have worked nonstop on this call. And you referenced Barbara Bush. I mean, she could have been out doing anything, and she really worked hard on our behalf. So, Peter, thank you for joining us. Let's have you back again one day. Can we do that?
Well, thank you. Absolutely.
All right.
Appreciate the opportunity. You bet.
All right. Very good. So you've been listening to the Literacy for All radio show. We've had Peter Waite on, and we're glad for that. History, we have it recorded. It's here. And I'm Jose Cruz. This is the Literacy for All radio show, and we have been on WS Radio, the worldwide leader in Internet talk.
$8,000 to build schools for South African children. After realizing how many people go hungry in San Diego, I now volunteer at a food pantry.
I'm spending the next year doing volunteer projects across 3 countries and helping in ways they designate to be the most helpful.
The World Link program at the Joan B. Kroc Institute for Peace and Justice recognizes the potential of youth as agents of social change. Learn how you can help youth become a generation of leaders in action at peace.sandiego.edu.
In the military, things can change in an instant. Your personal life is just the same. Just like you protect our country, you want your family protected. That's why thousands of military members trust Navy Mutual Life Insurance. Navy Mutual is nonprofit, providing current and former Navy, Marine, and Coast Guard families with life insurance, no sales fees, and no military service restrictions. Protecting members on active duty and beyond. Call 1-800-628-6011, 800-628-6011, NavyMutual.org, insuring those who serve.
Nowadays, internet devices are an integral part of your home. Everyone in your family has a smartphone, tablet, or a computer. Life is easier knowing that all your devices are secured and your family can surf the internet carefree. ESET Multi-Device Security Pack does just that. One license for all your devices. With ESET, it's simple to stay protected and save money. Enjoy safer technology with ESET Multi-Device Security Pack at ESET.com. That's ESET.com.
I've heard this is like one of the best pizza spots in town.
Yes, it is.
I'll do a slice of pepperoni, slice of vegetarian.
You got it.
And I will pay for all of that in 3 days.
In 3 days? What's that mean?
Well, wait, you accept credit cards. That money's not going to hit your account for 3 days anyway.
I need my money quicker.
At Chase, we hear you. With Express Funding, card payments are in your Chase account the next business day. Go to chase.com/expressfunding. Chase for business, so you can.
Compensated participation. All businesses are subject to credit approval. Not all clients are eligible for next business day funding, and additional terms, conditions, and restrictions apply.
Tired of presentations with no impact, no inspiration, and no traction? Do dull speakers have you and your team disengaged and distracted by smartphones? Christopher McAuliffe brings energy, insights, and 2 decades of experience, delivered with punch, humor, and heart. Your team will leave energized, uplifted, and with a sense of purpose. Visit ChristopherMcAuliffe.com to bring some heat to your next speaking engagement. McAuliffe. ChristopherMcAuliffe.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. MOZEguitars.com, 619-698-1185.